Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
I think it's time. I think I can hear it. I think I can hear it.
Oh, you want that? Okay.
I think I can hear Fistacuffs.
Nah.
Wait, hold on. No,
man. No. Not yet.
No Fistacuffs.
Nah,
no.
Fine, man.
I think they're here. I think they're here. I think they're here.
This world
I think they're here.
It's time for
what y'all do, man?
Fistacuffs!
No, it
DLC.
didn't.
Who do we have lined up?
Did I exit out? What happened?
Woo! Had to do my Ric Flair real quick. You know what I'm saying? Since we are talking about Naruto in the Naruto universe, hey, Mr. Conspiracy, is your camera gone? Because you look froze up. You buffering? Look like you buffering to me. Is he buffering?
Buffering.
Oh, my goodness.
What?
Hey, dude, about to get dropped from the show.
What happened?
Hey, you was buffering, man. You trash internet, man.
Oh, stop.
You been buffering, man. You're
Hey.
You stuck like this.
I've been buffering? What is it?
It's part of the bathrobe.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying? Anyway, since we in the Naruto universe, we decided to do a Fistacuffs in the Naruto universe. So we took the fourth Hokage, okay, and we took Jiraiya. And that's going to be our Fistacuffs today. So this is kind of an interesting one. And I do want to give a little backstory into these two, why I think this fight is interesting, okay? For one thing, Jiraiya taught the fourth Hokage. And at a certain point in time, Jiraiya was offered the position of Hokage and he turned it down, okay? Which opened up the bit for Minato, who is the fourth Hokage, who, by the way, spoiler alert, I'm not saying it to the second episode. I'm not giving it away. But the fourth Hokage and Jiraiya. So they have a mentor and mentee relationship. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where people need to understand. Now, I'm taking on Mr. Conspiracy. He's taking the fourth Hokage on this. I took Jiraiya. You know, I call dibs on the old man because he is the pervy sage. And so I'm going to go ahead and let Mr. Conspiracy go ahead and hit us with his first little blow, you know. So go ahead.
I always got to go first, homie. You always scared to go first. It's cool, man. I get that. I get that.
And listen, when you the host, you can do that. You know what I'm saying? Next time, if you want to host the show, you can decide. But hey, you in your bathrobe, so you can make all the decisions. Right? You know what I'm saying? You running good. Right?
Okay. Right. Okay. So, Yellow Flash, fourth Hokage, Naruto's father. That man right there is...
Spoiler alert. He just gave it away. Hey. I didn't say it, y'all. Spoiler alert. He said that.
Hey, man. Spoiler alert there. Yeah. Spoiler alert. If you don't know that by now, man, I don't know what to tell you.
Way to care about the artists there.
You know, he's the, flight on sight, man. I mean, tells everything. Like, during the third grade ninja war, once the enemy, or it was actually announced that he was on the way, you flight on sight. As soon as you saw him, you were supposed to flee. That was actually the instructions given to the other soldiers from their generals when you saw him. That man is cold-blooded. He is, at the beginning of Naruto, he is basically considered basically a legend is really what he is. Almost towards, like just a legendary being at that point in the beginning of Naruto before you even really see any of his achievements or anything like that actually taking place. He is considered the fastest shinobi in shinobi history, and that's well deserved, well given. One of the main reasons because of his ability of the flying Rajin, which actually allows him to travel along with his space-time ninjutsu ability from one place to another very, very quickly. And thanks to his wife, Kushina, she actually comes from the Eddie village, and they specialize in sealing jutsu. They were known for
Uzumaki
that.
playing.
Yes.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Uzumaki
It's the Eddie
playing.
village. It's the Eddie village is what it's named. It's the Eddie village. Thank you very much. Okay. So he learned all of the sealing ninjutsu that he knows from her, and he is basically a specialist at it. And he also ended up teaching Jiraiya how to actually do sealing better than what he actually could do. And he was also the creator of the the Rasengan. It is a wind style jutsu. It is very powerful. It is basically a circulation of a ball, almost like a spirit bomb in the palm of your hand, made of wind. It's super powerful. It's actually Naruto's #1 signature move that he uses. And he also, a lot of people don't know this until later, but I can use it because we're doing this in this battle. He actually mastered Sage Mode. He actually could do a perfect Sage Mode without the side effects of if you could not actually absorb all of the natural energy when you were actually going into Sage Mode. He didn't have those side effects. He could actually do it perfectly based on his abilities, on his actual innate abilities. To me, it is, I don't want to say it's just a foregone conclusion. I feel like just the first blow automatically, I feel that he would win based on speed alone because Jiraiya is not known for his speed. As far as power, Jiraiya is very powerful, but from a speed standpoint, I think that Minato could actually get him from just a speed standpoint, and I think that he could actually get him with the Flying Rajin just from that alone. I think that he'd be able to actually beat him. That's my first hit, round 1.
Oh, round 1. All right. Well, let me go ahead and counter your round 1. Everything your boy knows, with the exception of sealing jutsu, Jiraiya knows. Okay, let me be very clear with you. Everything your boy knows, with the exception of his speed, which he perfected that throwing technique from the second Hokage, everything with the exception of that, Jiraiya taught him. Okay, like I said, the sealing minus the sealing that he learned from his wife later on, right? Remember, Jiraiya was still around. That's why I told you it's important that we understand something. Jiraiya wasn't dead when Minato was getting all these abilities and fighting. He was still alive at that point in time. And the only reason why Minato becomes the 4th Hokage is because Jiraiya turns it down, okay, to go off because Jiraiya had a different mission. All right, so he had to go do his mission covertly. That he was associated with the village, but he wasn't. But he knew everything that was going on. Because he taught Minato, okay? And so here's the thing about that. This is where experience comes into play for me, okay? Because there's one thing Minato doesn't have that Jiraiya has, and that's Jiraiya learned from the 3rd Hokage, okay? And he was trained specifically by the 3rd Hokage. Everything that Minato has and the greatness he has, I'm not taking it away from him because he took what Jiraiya gave him and made it his own. But what I am going to say is that old man in power, if I take he can counter your speed, right? Because he knows about it. If you were talking about those people in that war you were talking about from the 3rd Shinobi War, the reason why they had fleet on site orders because they didn't know his ability. They knew he was fast, but they didn't actually know why he was, his ability, right? They didn't know any of that stuff. So that's why he was so elusive to them. That's why they have flee on site order. It's if I have an ability you don't know anything about or how to counter it, then of course I'm gonna flee on site. Let's be clear. Okay. He is considered, okay, not Jiraiya, but Minato is considered one of the greatest Hokage that have ever been produced out of that village. But I also think that's the equivalent to me saying Tom Brady would be great without Bill Belichick. So no, it wouldn't be. And so I think that because of age and skill of Jiraiya, now I think that age and skill plays a fact in it because Jiraiya's fought some people Minato never got a chance to fight. You know what I'm saying? He's been in some battles because you got to remember the age difference too. Minato was only Hokage, I think, for about a year. Okay, he was only Hokage for 1 year. Jiraiya is way older than he is. He's been in fights, you know what I'm saying, Minato had never seen. So that's why I think this fight in round one will go to Jiraiya. Like I said, I give you the speed, the rigging gun, and all that. I give you that. But Jiraiya knows all that. All those techniques and stuff, Jiraiya already knows that. So your speed alone ain't going to be enough to kill him. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I feel conspiracy, you got to get this to Jiraiya, man, just on his knowledge of he taught him. I mean, it's like Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Anakin. It's like Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Anakin. Obi-Wan knew every weakness Anakin had because he taught him. There's no difference to me with Minato and Jiraiya. Jiraiya taught him everything he knows, okay? And he never got to a point where he was more advanced than what Jiraiya knew because he didn't live long enough to tell that whole story. That's what I got to say about round one. I don't think you win in this fight just because you the fastest dude on the planet as far as the shinobi world go. Don't mean you're going to beat that pervy old man with the power because he knows how to counteract all your abilities. All right, mic drop, round two, let's go. You know what I'm saying? What you got?
Well, just because he knows about that ability don't mean he can stop it. There's a lot of people who know about that ability that can't stop it, that are very powerful.
Pause real quick, just real quick. Who else?
Who else
knows
from the cloud? From the Cloud Village, A and B. That's their names, literally A and B. Both know about that. One of them is the Eight-Tails Jinchuriki, okay? One of them's the Eight-Tails Jinchuriki, okay? And the other one is the Razikage, okay? They both knew about it, and they tried to actually double team him during the Third Great Ninja War, and he beat them both. Multiple times, actually, not just one, multiple times, and they knew about it. They actually made a plan specifically for that, and he still beat them both. And it wasn't like he tried hard, okay? He wasn't sweating bullets when he beat the both of them, okay? So just because Jiraiya knows about it doesn't mean he can. What is he going to do to actually counter it? Okay, he knows about it. What is he going to do to counter it? Hold on now, hold on. Hold on. It's my turn, okay?
In your voice. In your voice. Let's roll.
Okay. Jiraiya cannot do the flying Raijin. That's number one. That's well documented. Okay, he can't do that. Number two, okay, he cannot do perfect sage mode. That is also documented. You can see that in the anime. He cannot do perfect sage mode. So he loses automatically right there as far as a power boost. He cannot do perfect sage mode without two of the told sages on his shoulders. That's how he does perfect sage mode. So without those two, he can't even actually use sage mode to its highest ability. But guess who can? Minato can without any help because he can do it because it's also documented and we've actually seen him do it. He can actually do perfect sage mode immediately. He doesn't have to wait to gather it like Naruto. He can immediately do it. Okay, so that's an automatic power boost, him going into sage mode. Okay, and that's something that the first Hokage does. Okay, he's one of the very few people in the Naruto universe that can actually do sage mode, and it's very well documented that it is really powerful mode. It's almost like you going Super Saiyan. Okay, so that's beast mode. Number two, okay, he actually did master his Rasengan, okay, and he did teach his teacher how to do it that did not master it, mind you, and it's also a very powerful ability. So basically what you're saying is that, yeah, he taught him a lot of his stuff, but don't forget that Minato was also a prodigy. He was a pure genius as a kid. Okay, so the whole idea of, yeah, he taught him, that's all nice and well, but the Jiraiya that you're talking about also, okay, he did become what he became based on his experiences. Because let's be real here, when he truly became part of the legendary signing, like when they were actually, called that, he actually wasn't nearly as powerful. None of those three were, him, Orochimaru, or Tsunade. Okay, they got beat multiple times by people in Rain Village, Sound Village. They got beat by a lot of people. Matter of fact, I can't remember that dude's name with the mask who actually should have killed all three of them, and he actually let them go.
Because he scratched him. Yeah, that's when they became signing. Yeah, because they survived.
He gave him the name. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well. So the Jiraiya that you're discussing was much, much later. He was much, much older. Okay, after the third grade ninja war, he was much, much older. That's when he became the Jiraiya that you're discussing and actually talking about. So, so my whole thing is this, man. Okay, just because he's older, I get that. That's all good. Just because he was the teacher, I get that. That's all good. Okay, but the fact is that just because you know about his abilities does not mean you can automatically just put them to the side because you know about his abilities or you know how to do some of those abilities. But the fact of the matter is that even if you do, you still can't do it as good as him, nowhere close as good as him. And that's just the bottom line. So what else you gonna do? What you gonna do? Your little summoners are called the Toll Sage. The same thing Minato can actually do because he has the contract with him as well. And because he actually does the seal better than you, he could probably call a higher Toll Sage than you can as well because they have a tier to that.
Well, hold on.
There's a tier. There is a tier to that.
Yeah. So let's be clear. Jiraiya has met with the one who set the prophecy. You know what I'm saying? Who set him down that path. You know what I'm saying? So let's be clear about something. Now, you brought up the third Rage Kage and the 8 tails. Let me tell you why that's a garbage comparison. Okay? Because even though they saw what was going on and you were like, they couldn't react to it, they didn't know about his sealing ability. They didn't know about a lot of this stuff because it caught him off guard. I'm going to tell you this right now. You're not going to be able to play the tricks. Now, you might have the ability, but what I'm telling you is when it comes to things like this, we all have patterns and things like that. It's no difference than somebody who taught you how to do something. Yes, you may at some point become better. That doesn't necessarily mean you can beat them because you have certain habits and patterns that you have when you fight. We all have them on our daily lives. And that's what I'm telling you. Everything you're bringing up, I'm not disagreeing that Minato is not a prodigy and things like that. But this is where I know he knows his weaknesses. All the things that he taught him, he's the one who's been training him his whole life. You don't think he knows about his ceiling? You don't think he knows about all that stuff that you're talking about? But if you tack Jiraiya's experience on top of that, you don't think he'll have a countermeasure for his protege? The one he taught and trained, who he learned everything from? Now, I'm not saying he didn't perfect some of the things that Jiraiya did. I'm not taking anything away from that. But you got to admit that the old man know all his weaknesses. None of the people Minato had fought up to that point knew his weakness. Not even Obito knew everything he was capable of. And that's why Obito ended up losing to him. There's a difference between somebody realizing what your ability is versus actually knowing what your ability is and all the weaknesses associated with it. Jiraiya knows everything about the fourth Hokage. Okay, everything. Because like I said, he was still alive at this point in time. Does the fourth Hokage know everything that Jiraiya can do in a fight? No, because he wasn't alive and he was being trained by him. So yeah, I give you the points of this, his strength, his speed. I give you all that. But you're talking to the one person on the planet who knows every weakness Minato has. The one person who they asked to be Hokage 3 times, and he turned them down 3 times so he could do more stuff for the village outside of the village. You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling you, a mentor and a mentee. I mean, there's a lot of space there, and I'm not taking anything away from the fourth because he's a bad dude. Like let's be clear about that. When you get flee on sight orders, you're a bad man in a war. Okay, I'm just simply saying the things you're talking about, they won't matter to Jiraiya. Jiraiya, like I already know you. I've been training with you all the way up to this point in time. You think he got there by himself? And that's what I'm telling you. Fighting Jiraiya is not different than fighting Pain, the third Rage Kage, and like you're talking about somebody who intimately knows every aspect of your life, how your foot moves when you walk, how long does it take you to cast your jutsu and things like that. So that's why I tell you, yes, you have the speed, yes, you have these things, but knowledge is a powerful thing. And if you know the weaknesses to all the jutsu he got, because he's the one who trained him, that's where I say I get the W. Hold on, real quick.
No.
I'm not finished. I let you talk. You wanted to interject. You know what I'm saying? All I'm simply saying is don't discount your age and experience over, especially somebody you train, that they're just going to automatically get the upper hand because they have abilities that might even be a little bit better than yours. That's all I'm getting at. Don't discount it. You act like it's going to be a clinch. He going to just boom, 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 and game's over. It's not going to be that easy of a fight. When somebody knows you, ask a boxer who has to fight his training partner. in a fight. Somebody who knows all you think that's an easy fight? And let me ask one question, and it's not to you, Mr. Conspiracy. Let me ask the professor.
Okay.
Professor, do you think it's harder for you to fight somebody you've trained your whole life versus somebody who doesn't know all your abilities? They don't know all your stuff. It doesn't matter about your abilities at that point in time. But the person who trained you, they have an advantage. Would you agree? Yes or no to that?
Yes, I'd agree to that. Yeah, I'd agree to that.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not taking anything away from Mr. Conspiracy's points because they're valid points. Okay? But the thing that's killing me is you discounting the experience Jiraiya has with training him and all the other fights he's been in that Minato hasn't been in. So that's the only thing I'm trying to say. Now, I'm gonna let you go, but I just got one question before.
I'm waiting.
No. Just real quick, right? With time and everything, you got to go into your round 2. I did my round 2. So shouldn't the audience be deciding? Do we got enough time to you just be going back and forth?
I ain't gonna take long. I ain't gonna take long. Okay, I ain't gonna take long. Okay.
Because I know you hate losing. So
no, it's not that. It's not that. It's not that. Fact of the matter is this, man. Okay, like when you keep bringing up, all that time that they trained together. First of all, Jiraiya only traded him for a couple of years. They wasn't together for that long, training for a whole lot of time. He only traded him for a few years. That's number one. Okay. Number two is the fact that Jiraiya actually left the village like literally right after they got the whole signing, deadlock thing, and that's when he became the spy of the village. That's when he became a spy. So he was barely in the village during Minato's prime of all of his achievements. That dude was rarely in the village. He would come back here and there just to see him for like a day, and then he would leave. So he wasn't even there for all the battles, any of the battles that Minato actually took part in. So he didn't actually see him in actual combat in his prime or any of that because he was not there. So for you to say that just because he had trained him for a couple of years means absolutely nothing, that you don't know this dude inside and out just because you trained with him for a few years and he taught you a little bit of something. Okay?
Did you say a little bit of something? Did you say a little bit of something?
Minato taught. No, hold on.
I want to interject one point. I'm gonna let you get back to it. You said a little bit of something. Okay, yeah. Listen, he wouldn't have the Sage contract if it wasn't for Jiraiya. He wouldn't be able to do the Senju something if it wasn't for Jiraiya. You can't say somebody just trained you for a couple of years like it was some days. Let's be clear about something. Years is different than somebody that trained for days or months. Okay, there's a big difference between that. So go ahead, go to your point.
Okay. Yeah, he showed him a few things. Okay, he showed him a few things. Okay, he showed him a few things, brother. Okay, but let's be okay. But here's the reality, man. Okay, he was the master, and the student surpassed him. It's just that simple. The student surpassed him, man, and it's just the fact that he was not around when this dude created his legacy. Jiraiya was not even around during that time when Minato created his legacy. So for you to say that he knows all this, he knows all of his weaknesses and stuff like that, what weaknesses does he know exactly? Please tell me what his weaknesses are besides his family, which is what Obito actually was the only reason why he even got to the point that he got to, was because his family was his only weakness. So what weaknesses was there to exploit besides that?
Is that, are you letting me talk now? Go ahead.
I'm ready for the audience, man, to decide this, okay? I'm ready for the audience. Matter of fact, you know what I'm saying? The professor, Pooh Bird, what y'all think, man?
I want DLC to finish up. Go ahead and speak your last point.
Listen, the point I was wanting to make, since somebody's trying to make the expectation this much lower, like it was in a small amount of time. Listen, he trained him for more than a couple years, okay? He trained him for more than a couple years, okay? Every ninjutsu has a weakness, okay? Now you're saying, I can make the same statement you made, that Minato wasn't around when Jiraiya did all his great things, so he don't know the extent of his power either. If we want to make the what if statement about that, you don't know, Minato don't know the extent of Jiraiya's power, but I'm more happy to know that Jiraiya trained him, and I think you're missing that. There are certain habits you have when you're trained. Okay, there are things we go back to. He's not just some dude on the street you're going to run up to and be able to amaze and be like, oh, I caught you off guard in a serious battle. He knows you got to throw these things to do this technique. He knows your speed level. He knows how to anticipate all of that stuff. Because again, literally, he learned from the third Hokage, who learned from the second Hokage, who learned from the first Hokage. You know what I'm saying? He literally is a walking thing of knowledge. Okay? And I'm gonna say this statement. Okay, Minato wouldn't have came close to beating Pain like Jiraiya did. Okay? Minato wouldn't, because here's the thing, and I'm gonna get bold. I'm gonna get bold with my last point, and I'm gonna say that because Jiraiya's knowledge and his experience played a big part in getting close to Pain, and that knowledge that he was able to give Naruto, Minato wouldn't have had that opportunity. Okay, there are some things that you can't replace with time. I'm sorry, I don't care how good you are as an athlete and stuff like that. That's why there's certain people you can't replace at businesses. Once that knowledge is gone, it's gone, right? G will tell you, you know what I'm saying? The professor will tell you there are certain people, certain doctors you're not going to be able to replace because their knowledge base is just too off the chart. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that. Let's let the audience decide.
No.
That's all. No, hold on. We can't keep going back and forth.
No,
okay?
I was going to say one thing. You mind if I say one thing?
No.
One thing. Less than 30 seconds. Less than 30 seconds. Less than 30 seconds. Okay. So Minato is known for having a high battle prowess, and the reason why is because if you notice the fight with Obito, he was the only one that actually countered his special eye ability that no one else has. Everyone has seen it. He was the only one that actually countered and actually beat that, and it was the first time he had ever seen it, ever, and he was able to counter that in that heat of the battle moment. Okay, but that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm saying. Y'all two, what's going on?
And then Jiraiya may have been able to counter it too. First time he saw it. But we'll never know, right? So since we throwing the what ifs out there. Anyway, go ahead. What was you saying?
What ifs?
Go ahead. We're done. You see how heated it gets sometimes? Go ahead, audience. Put a 1 in the air for Jiraiya. Put a 0 for Minato, because that's what it is, a 0. Anyway. All right.
Professor, what y'all think? I want to know what y'all got to say.
Man,
yeah, I'm a man.
I think both of you guys had some excellent points. I think Mr. Conspiracy, you a little bit more detailed in your argument. Although DOC had excellent points. As far as the mentor-mentee, his Jiraiya's power level as he was able to get older, be more experienced, go through more battles. Of course, he would know Minato's abilities. He wouldn't be surprised by anything. And that's not guarantee that he would be able to counter them, but he would know, possibly come up with a plan. They both have the Sage mode. Minato's is better. So it's a toss up for me. I come down as a tie. I know that's that's not nothing definitive, but I come as a tie. I couldn't pick a win.
I'm gonna jump on in, Professor. You are absolutely right in your conclusion there. Both made hell of a. This was a good fight, by the way, you two.
Yeah,
y'all had me thinking the whole time. Like, y'all made hell of points. But I agree with the Professor. Y'all did so well. Even I was going back and forth the whole time. I just came like, you know what? Let's just start with Doc with experience and age. I agree with you. Like you said, I mean, with anything in life, experience is gonna count. You know what I'm saying? Because you've seen it all, you've experienced it all, so you'll have a little bit more edge. You're thinking outside the box is better, right? Because you've got these experiences, certain fights and how things will go. Only thing is though, yeah, you have the knowledge and experience. However, I mean, your age is gonna play a part in that, because now you're not as polished as you were in your prime. And that's the only thing I can see on his downfall there. Conspiracy, I agree with, with your assessments. He's in his prime. Of course, yeah, he was a prodigy. And that's the thing though with skills. Yeah, you got trained by your master, but at some point your master is training you to do what? To surpass you. I mean, that's the whole point. Even when it's surpassing, yeah, he made the argument that Doc, that with muscle memory, you practicing and all that and stuff. But when you become a master, you polish those things as well too. So we got to keep that in mind. So yeah, you might be doing some of the same things mostly, but you also improve on those things. Just like a basketball player, you know, Allen Iverson. We all knew his crossover steps, but he kept improving it just so people that you can't get used to those. You wouldn't be able to trick people as much. But yeah, that whole Jesus Christ, I don't know who'd win. This has got to be up to the audience. Y'all made hella good points, bro. Y'all had me stumped. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
that's
probably one of the best fisticuffs
Yeah, guys.
that we've had.
Yeah.
That was excellent. But I have a question. It's probably going to extend this. Before I start Mr. Conspiracy, but DLC, I want you to answer as well. So, Mr. Conspiracy, do you think Minato could have beaten Pain?
Yes, I think he could have.
And why?
For the simple fact of one of Payne's biggest strengths was that he was, separated into 6, right? And then of course, you have to take out all 6 of them. You can't just leave them all running around. Well, the thing with Minato's abilities is that with his sealing abilities and with his flying Raijin, he can actually put his seal mark on each puppet, on each Pain. And he's quick enough to actually attack them or actually set up an actual seal to trap them so he can actually hit them simultaneously with his abilities, because he still knew the actual cloning jutsu as well, and he'd be able to actually take them out. And we've seen that in the Pain art. The Rasengan actually is strong enough to take out one of the puppet bodies, right? And I think that he's fast enough that he'd be able to actually take them out before I forgot which Pain had the reincarnation ability, but taking him out first, honestly, he'd be able to actually do that, and then he couldn't bring any of the other Pains back at that point, right? And so for Minato's abilities, he doesn't really have to use a lot of ninjutsu that would be absorbed. The only thing that would technically he would use that could be absorbed is the Rasengan to actually, win that battle that he would actually need. But for me, his abilities as a whole really counteracts what Pain actually does. And also, he is the second to highest sensory after, I would say, the first Hokage as far as a sensory ninja. And so to actually understand what is happening as far as those being puppets, not real bodies, for his sensory ability, I think that would really come into play, because you got to remember that there is a string of chakra that is connected to each puppet for Pain or Naruto to actually control them, almost like, like a Wi-Fi, satellite Wi-Fi, right? He has to actually send out chakras just to those puppets for him to control them. Well, being a sensory shinobi of that high caliber, there is a good chance that he could actually see that something was actually controlling them and they were not actually real. So at that point, I think that he would change up his battle plans at that moment, like his actual strategy. I think that if the fight lasted, it doesn't have to last long, but I think enough time, I think that he would actually figure out what needs to be done. I think that he could easily do it.
Okay. I got one thing to say to that would be you're taking one thing off the table that you didn't talk about. That's a problem for everybody who's fighting him. The Rinnegan. Because the Rinnegan's abilities. Okay. Now it was different when he was fighting Naruto. When Pain was fighting Naruto, he was trying to capture Naruto. He wasn't trying to kill him. But that Rinnegan's abilities make him a very difficult appointment. I can't 100% tell you that Minato, even with all the abilities he has, with that dude having that Rinnegan, I can't guarantee you're going to win that battle. That's what I would say to that. Because you talked about everything else, and I agree, he has the ability, but that Rinnegan, because it's a Genkai Dojutsu or whatever you call that, because those eyes, man, those abilities, those eyes give you, But that's just me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I agree with your points, but that Rinnegan, like, you can't, because Jiraiya, the first time the Rinnegan had even been encountered was by Jiraiya for Pain. When he saw his eyes and he realized what he could become, and that's why he kind of helped train Pain a little bit as well because of those eyes. But I'm gonna throw that out there. Go ahead, Professor. You're gonna ask the question. So.
No, I was gonna say I was gonna take it to you, DOCs. I felt like you felt like that Minato couldn't beat him. I just kind of wanted you to explain why, and you just kind of went ahead and did that.
But yeah, I just think it's because they're with the Rinnegan. I think Jiraiya knew about the eyes. He had a slight advantage, but was that enough with his abilities to get him over the hump? No, because we keep in mind the only reason why Naruto won that fight is because those toads gave Naruto the clues to be able to win that fight. You know, it took Jiraiya 2 toads and a whole bunch of time to, figure out what each body did. And so, I'm not saying Minato couldn't figure it out, but there's a lot of things with Pain and those abilities, like on the fly, Jiraiya had help, you know what I mean, to help him fight that battle. So he wasn't alone. Now, if Minato went in there, if he went in there with the toads, does that increase his odds? Sure it does, but is he going to know the pull to bring them in since he has a perfect sage mode? Probably not, right? So like I said, there's variations to this on who would, I don't think he'd win. I think he'd give him a close run for his money, but not knowing his abilities makes it really difficult, especially if you don't know the abilities of a Rinnegan. If you don't know what all those, that's a really hard fight. It was hard for Jiraiya. Hell, I think even Itachi would have a problem fighting Pain. He's got the Mangekyo Sharingan. I still think it's just because of the bodies, the Rinnegan. He's got a lot of things going on. So I'll say that.
It's too many variables. Way too many.
There's a lot of variables with that fight. Yeah. Again,
that was all the questions I had. So we can finish up Fistacuffs now.
So let me say this. So here's the weakness of Pain, right, with the Rinnegan, because he didn't have the Sharingan, which is the Genjutsu abilities. Here's the actual weakness of him, is that each one of his puppets can only use one of the abilities. They were spread out among 6. They can only use one each. So once they use that ability, and with the Sage mode, the actual perfect Sage mode, he can take an actual puppet down with literally one hit. Like with the including of the Rasengan. I think that, he wouldn't have to actually wait for them to all use an ability for him to actually go ahead. If he's trying to actually kill Pain, actually win that fight, I don't think he would just sit back and just wait for them to start using a whole bunch of jutsu just to, see which one of them can actually do what they can do.
Most of those, well, I don't know my recollection with them, but don't they feel each other out first because they don't know what they can do? And don't they have to be more? If I remember all their fights, and I know everybody just, tries to, well, unless you just bad and evil trying to kill somebody, but it's they're more measured, right? Because being ninjas, you don't know what the actual person's ability is, right? So you have to fill them out first because you jumping in blindly. That's life and death off the bat. That's just what I'm thinking.
Well, it was the same thing like when he fought Obito for the first time, like as Toby, right? Like he had no idea what his abilities were, but he had no choice because of the situation of the hidden leaf. So he, instead of coming up with an actual strategy, he came up with a strategy on the fly as they were actually fighting head to head.
Man, like I said, it's a lot of variables with Pain and the Rinnegan and the abilities, because you got to remember, to even unlock a Rinnegan, you have to have the Byakugan and the Sharingan to even awaken the Rinnegan. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the 3 dojutsu. So it has a lot of abilities, and so that's why I say that battle is hard for variables. And I say that battle's hard for anybody in variables, because at least when Minato fought Obito, it was a one-on-one fight. You know what I mean? He could concentrate on one. But when you fighting all of them, Naruto had to create a bunch of diversions, smoke screens. He had to use a whole bunch of ninjutsu to keep all of them occupied. And in a one-on-one fight, now that's why I said, if Minato called the toads in to help, because that's what Jiraiya had to do. They had to fight for him in a one-on-one fight. Like, nobody's beating Pain. I'm sorry, unless you're the first Hokage or something, or Madara Uchiha or something like that. His power. You fighting 6 people at the same time. It ain't an easy fight for nobody. So I'm gonna leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? Audience, put your ones up, your zeros up. You know what? Whoever you know, let us know who you think won this bad boy, man. Because we definitely went over getting into fisticuffs. Some days we get crazy. You know, obviously, me and conspiracy got blood. You know, we always got issues with each other. So it's how stuff gets sometimes. So